it's been an interesting campaign year. I've had to weigh the pros and the cons of both candidates. Both candidates have really good qualities, but you know, you have to pick one. And I am ready now to endorse my candidate. Ha! I got you there, didn't I? So this is an oyster shell that I made with UV resin bubbles and mica powder. And this is an oyster shell that I made with the Mod Podge and dish soap bubbles. And while it's really hard to make a decision, they both have great qualities. I just don't think I can pick one over the other. Let's look at the pros. So the pros with the UV resin bubbles is that it's instant, right? You put the UV resin on the oyster shell, you put the bubbles on, and then you use your UV resin curing light. And what I like about this is that you don't have to wait, and it's pretty much done. You add your bobbles and you know whatever else you're gonna do, and you're pretty much done. UV resin is just so great. What I like about the Mod Podge and dish soap bubble method is that I can't, and I do have to wait, you have to wait overnight for the bubbles to dry, but the bubbles dry with this great texture. I mean, they're awesome. You need to probably apply either another layer of Mod Podge on top or a layer of resin, and then they kind of get lost unless you apply paint on top. But what I like about this is that I can batch out 20, 25, even 30 ornaments and then just set them aside and let them dry and move on to something else. So it's really quick. So I'm not really sure which one I like the best. So let's just real quick go over both methods and, you know, see if we can come to a decision. Let's go. I am working on my little nail jig today because it just works really well for me in capturing drips, and especially when I'm working with oyster shells that are kind of wonky, I can lay them pretty flat, you know, and not have to worry about them flopping around all over the place. And I apologize for the chaotic mess. I've had a couple of comments about how messy my background is, but honestly, you know what? I am in an art studio that's actually where I work. I don't have a YouTube shooting booth. So this is what you get in an art studio. I am very messy. And I do apologize to those people who seem to be bothered by that, but this is just how an art studio works, so be it. Okay. All right, so on these four, I'm going to do the Mod Podge and dish soap bubbles. And this is really fun, but it's also really messy. The mix really is very easy. It is 1 part dish soap, 3 parts Mod Podge, and then a little bit of water. And I have just enough, I think, to do what I want to do. I do put it in a jar because that way, if you make a batch, you can just put your lid on it and then shake it up, you know, mix it up. When I do need to make some more, but, and I will link to the video where I make this and I will show you how I make it, but it's really easy. It's literally dish soap and Mod Podge and water. That's it. That's it. So I guess this is called Seafoam. Erica at Artist Till Death did inspire me to make this. I did not make this up. I did not make up this recipe, but I am inspired by her and her artwork, so shout out to Erica. I do have a little plastic lid and a straw. I have a hole poked in my lid and I poke my straw through it just like that, because when you start blowing the bubbles, it can get messy and the bubbles go everywhere where you don't want it. So this is what I'm gonna do. Silicone spoon from the dollar store that I can scoop the bubbles out with. So, oopsies, let me go up a little bit, give me some space. did have somebody suggest to me, why not use one of those coffee frothers? But what happens, the frother makes the bubbles too small. So what we don't want great big bubbles, but that's about the bubble quality that we want. Okay, so I'm just gonna scoop these out. We don't want the liquid, we just want the bubbles. And these work great independently. And they work great also as sea foam if you have a layer of the mermaid trash, and then you can put that on top. I am gonna turn my fan off because I think that's gonna make the bubbles pop a little bit more. So I'm gonna do one more. So that one's a little too liquidy. I don't wanna waste that. Okay, I'm gonna do one more just with a pop those big bubbles, because the big bubbles, once you get them on your oyster shell, they're gonna pop anyway. And these are perfect. Little liquidy, but not too bad. All right, so these I'm gonna set aside. No, I should use my Lazy Susan, but I'm not. All right, so these two, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a layer of mermaid trash. There we go. I'm gonna put a little bit of mermaid trash, make a beach, and then I'm gonna put this on top. And I just made this batch of mermaid trash. I do sell this in my Etsy shop now. And I'm thinking about a couple more color combinations that I could make, maybe with more purples and kind of, I don't know, more deep undersea. But this is a mixture of sand and glitter and crushed glass, little bitty shells. I do sell this in my Etsy shop. I have a link in the description below. I ship it to you for free. But I also have a video in the link below on how you can make this. But if you don't have the ingredients, then you can go to my Etsy shop and buy it. I'm just gonna put some in this cup, probably that much. And then I'm gonna put Mod Podge in my cup and mix it up. Mod Podge is just really consistent. It dries clear and it's rock hard. Like, it is super strong. So I'm gonna put a little bit of Mod Podge. I don't really know how much, honestly. Oh my gosh. Just get a stick and stir it up until it's all wet. Nice thing about using Mod Podge too is that it doesn't seem, once it's dry, it doesn't seem to make the sand kind of disappear, like it darkens the sand. Like I did on this one, I put UV resin on top of this oyster shell and the sand just got too dark, so I don't like that. I just did put a little bit more on there. All right. And then let's just put a clump of that on there. And then the rest of it on here. Okay. All right. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and put on top of that, while this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and put some more of the sea foam on there. So I'm not going to wait for this to dry. I'll let them all dry at the same time. That should be enough. And so this kind of looks like frothy waves on top of the sand, which is really cool. But you don't want the liquid part, you just want the bubbles. So as this dries, as the mixture dries, the bubbles remain. So the dish soap makes the bubbles, and then the Mod Podge gives the bubbles structure so that when it dries, you have bubbles. You have real foamy bubbles. And it's just really cool. All right, so let's let that dry. And on these four, I'm gonna do the UV resin bubbles. Okay, these are oysters from my beach. They've been tumbled and they're clean, they're raggedy, they're natural, and that's what I like about them. You know, they've just been tumbled by nature and eat my little sea worms. They have holes. They're just amazingly awesome. All right, so I have my Let's Resin UV Resin Curing Light. I have a link to this description. Also, below, I am an Amazon affiliate, so each time you use my link, I get a small commission, and you can get one of these. So I am going to use the rest of my Light Wish UV resin. I have this Light Wish Deep Blue. It's not really a pigment, it's more like a colorant for the UV resin. So I'm going to mix these two together, mix it together in this little cup. You see that? And I want to shake up this pigment. It's almost like, I don't know if it's alcohol ink, but it's not highly pigmented, but it's not supposed to be. It is supposed to be kind of very translucent, but look how pretty that is. And you just add enough until you get the color that you want. And I wanted it to be a little bit more blue, but look how pretty that is. I mean, it really, really is a pretty color. It's very translucent. It's not meant to be a very deep color. Okay. Silicone spatula that came with the resin, UV resin curing light. This is what makes the magic happen. This is just water and dish soap. Okay, a little bit of dish soap in the water. I'm gonna mix it up. So these bubbles are just too small for me. I want them a little bit bigger, because you'll see. So I'm gonna go ahead and blow some into this container, okay? Okay. Actually, I don't even need my lid, because I'm gonna let them okay. So I'm just kind of setting myself up here. God, that's so pretty. So I'm using my silicone spatula to kind of get it all around as much as but because it's so thin, it's just pooling down in there. But we're still gonna get some good bubbles. Okay, the bigger the bubbles, the bigger the UV bubbles are gonna be, but watch what happens. And then I'm just going to take this, kind of wipe it off. That is so pretty. Look at the texture. Not so much the color. Like, there's not that much color in that pigment, honestly. But I love the texture, and I can add some mica powder on top of that. That's really pretty. Maybe I should add a little bit more to this. Maybe add some more color. I'm sure there's better ways of coloring UV resin, but this is what I've got right now. And it seems very, very compatible with the UV resin itself. Like, it doesn't make it sticky. I mean, it is a little bit, so I'm definitely going to have to pop this under the light again. But right now it's fine. Which one should I do? This one? So if you have little bubbles, you're going to get a different effect. Oh yeah, this one's really good. Let me pop this under the light one more time. It's just kind of getting a little muddy. Yeah. Okay. They look a little muddy now, but it's okay. They're going to be fine. I'm going to use the rest of this on these two. Boy, that is a pretty color when it's solid. When it's spread out, it definitely is more translucent. All right, let me get some bubbles going here. go ahead and cure my spatula. Oh yeah, that one turned out really good. All right, let's pop it under the light one more time. All right, these are nice and dry now. And now the nice thing about these is I'm ready to go on to the next step. I don't have to wait for bubbles to dry. So that's another plus, obviously, is that I'm ready to go to the next step. But I am, ooh, this one's nice and sticky. I am gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until the bubbles are done, and then I'm gonna do all 8 of these at the same time. Well, now these are all dried and cured, and we're ready for the next step. And I think what I'm going to do definitely needs some more, maybe a little bit more color on here. And I'm gonna do that. I think mica powder might be a little bit too much. I think the mica powder is going to get down into these grooves too much, and I'm not going to be able to get it out. The mica powder works really, really great with the UV resin bubbles because you can really brush, be rough with them. These you can't be rough with. You cannot be rough with these. So, all right, so I think I'm just gonna brush on a little bit of white paint onto these just to bring the color out a little bit more, because I do plan on putting resin in here, and I don't want the bubbles to get washed out, and they tend to wash out. So be very, very careful. But see how that really brings the bubbles out? I'm just gonna put some on my in here. Be like my palette. So you can add paint to your bubble mixture, your seafoam mixture, but I don't know, to me, it doesn't really work as well as doing this afterwards. It just really, really brings the bubbles out. And you can use any color that you want, but seafoam is white. So just be careful, because the structure, you don't want to break the structure of these bubbles, these Mod Podge bubbles. They are kind of fragile. So just be careful with them. Pretty this one is. Oh my goodness. Just really gently. I'm gonna leave that the way it is, so it kind of looks, I don't know, lacy. It's really lacy. This one's gonna be pretty too. So making the seafoam bubbles with the Mod Podge and the dish soap, it is a multi-step. There we go. It is a multi-step process. It's a multi-day project. It's not a one-day thing. So it makes sense if you're going to use the seafoam bubble method. It makes sense to make a lot at a time. Like I probably would make this entire board would be full. So I could make, 30 at a time. All right, I'm going to use Eye Candy Nokon Blue mica powder. There is a link on Amazon. You're going to want to buy it when you see. Look at that. It's so gorgeous. I have a little makeup brush from the dollar store. I'm going to dip and tap and brush it on. And then you kind of brush off the excess. Oh, geez. There we go. Cute. That is amazing. Look at that. That's really cool. Gold maybe. Let's try gold. Let's do gold. Gold. Look how shiny that is. Oh my God. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness. The combination of the colored UV resin and then this mica powder is absolutely amazing. So honestly, now I can go to the next step. Made this little guy with some leftover resin. I think he would look really good right there. This mermaid, a little too big. Made this with Das air dry clay. That would look good there. Another clay one. These are real starfish that I bought on Amazon. And I got fussed at for using these because apparently it's cruel to animals, depleting the ocean, blah, blah, blah. These are farmed. These aren't just plucked out of the ocean from their mothers. Um, so, I mean, ooh, there's a whale tail. What do you think? A little bit too big. Maybe there? That's kind of cool. I like that. White starfish. Needs a turtle. I'm gonna put a turtle right here. Silver starfish. That one's gonna be all about starfish. All right, just got these beads in. They're not drilled, so they do not have holes in them. They're like little pearls, and I absolutely am in love with these colors. I have a link to these in the description also. I just placed another order for these. They're different sizes, so there's little tiny ones on up to the bigger ones. So I just put them in this little jar. The static cling is making them go everywhere. Definitely wanting to add a few of these, I think. But I'm going to wait until I mix up my resin. But I remember I said I was going to do these all at once. So I have to wait for these to dry before I can finish these. So these are nice and dry. That put the paint on these. They're dry. We need resin and embellishment, and that's it. I know how I want to embellish these, but I don't know about these. I'm just gonna go in with some big beads on there. These are just glass beads from the dollar store, and a lot of times I do find these at thrift stores, and I can also find these at yard sales. And whenever I see them, I buy them because they are really cool to work with. All right, some crushed glass. I think I will add in here once I add the resin. So I want to add the resin first. Okay, so I have mixed up my KSRESIN liquidy split. This is a fast set resin, so we kind of have to work fast. Look how pretty this stick is, though. I just reused the stick from a previous project. It's just a pretty color. But anyway, so you can use my KSRESIN discount code in the description below. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a thin layer in here. Okay. I'm kind of curious to see how the resin is going to act with the paint, but look at that. It really, adding the paint on the bubbles really makes them stand out. The resin, if I had not added the paint, the resin really would have just, I don't know, taken over. Like it would just lose all of the color. You wouldn't be able to see the bubbles at all. Add this guy back on there right here. And I think I'm just going to take some of this crushed glass on this one, oops, and just add it at the top there. Okay, just I don't know, a little bit of interest. Drizzle. If I had not added the paint, I think the bubbles would have just darkened and you wouldn't see the bubbles at all. Just want to get the resin on the bubbles. I don't really want to get the resin on the mermaid trash as much because the mermaid trash is already sealed. Right. Move this over here. And at this point, the bubbles are really kind of firm, so we can, you know, we can be a little bit, we don't have to be as gentle, in other words. All right. Could go ahead and add maybe a little bit here, just for interest, texture, whatever. Okay. Mm. Actually, we can kind of dump these. Here we go. You just kind of build it until you're happy. Just adding a little bit of extra resin just to anchor these baubles. But you don't need to cover the whole thing in resin. dump these out. Look at how, oh my God, look at this, y'all. Look at how pretty this one is. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Okay. Come on, nails. So the resin is self-leveling, and it is going to eventually, find the lowest point before it cures, and that's fine. It's going to find its lowest point, but it's fine. And it'll pool, but it'll look like a little tide pool. You know how you get at the beach? So let's see if maybe I can encourage that a little bit. So I'm going to purposefully make this not as level as it could be because I want it to pool maybe a little bit right there. Look at that. Oh my God, y'all. Look at how gorgeous this is. And look at what the difference the resin makes on that one. That is the difference. Just a little bit extra time. And bam. Whoops. Well, there you go. All right, I got some little starfish here, and I don't know what they're doing. Did I need to put this on something? No. We add that right there. There's this one. We'll add that one there, right there. All right. Look at how beautiful that one is going to be. Look at that deep, it's just like a deep cobalt blue at this point. That is gorgeous. I don't think I want to add all those, but definitely the starfish. Maybe add the starfish down here. Something on top of this, maybe. I don't know. Okay. Now I want to add maybe some little turtles on top of these rocks because I don't know, we just need a little bit more visual interest. I'm going to drizzle a little bit more on this one, darken that up a little bit. Okay. It's really soft, isn't it? It's just really cute. I like it. But add a little bit more. Add a turtle on here. And then these, I think, these are fine. What we could do, if we're worried about them being a little bit too plain, I can go in with some of my mermaid pearls. This may be one or two, just to add a little bling. You don't need many. Like literally you just need one or maybe two. You know, just to give it a little bit extra. All right, so that is good. That's all I'm going to do here. And these will cure overnight, and then we can do the final assessment and come to our decision which one is best. I mean, visually, I can already tell you which one I like best, but that's just because of the colors I use. So, all right, let's come back in a minute. Well, not a minute, 24 hours. Okay, these are pretty much done. I just need to drill holes and put a hanger. And I do use a drill. So let me show you how to do that. I have a block of wood that I use and then just drill with a, pretty sharp bit on it. And why do I use a block of wood? Well, let me show you. I'm going to show you on this one. So I try to find a piece on the ornament that's kind of thin. Now these ornaments are pretty hard, but I mean the shells are pretty hard, but they're not that hard. And then I just take my drill bit and on a fast speed. Start slow, get it going. And that's it. There's our hole. And I just have twine from the dollar store. Cut it into, I don't know, 8 inches or so. It just depends on, how long you want the hanger to be. People can always replace it, but to hang these in my booth at the art show, it's really nice to have a hanger. This fat one, I use Let's Resin UV resin and my Let's Resin UV curing light. I do have a link in the description or Amazon if you want to buy it. It's a nice light. I think I paid $11 for it maybe. And that's it. See, it's nice and tight. I like drilling the hole better. I love this one. So, UV resin bubble, seafoam, UV resin. Which one is your favorite method? They both have the pros, they both have the cons, they both have different looks. You definitely have a lot of options with each one. So honestly, I cannot give my endorsement at this time because I love them both. Can I vote for both? Can I vote for both? I think I like this one the best though. Can't decide. Can't decide.